a history or long speech. Where you are seated, it used to be my agricultural holding. When I bought this land initially, it was a place where I was staying in because I wanted to be closer to the airport so that as and when I drive out to do hustling, do business, I should be able to move in and out, whether it's in the evening or anytime. And I always had this thinking that I have a business. And at the time, I didn't know what kind of a business. But because this land is at the proximity of the airport, I always had in mind that something must happen. Come 2010, the house that I used to stay in, I converted it to a boutique hotel, 27 rooms. And coincidentally, I wouldn't tell the name of the president who came here during 2010. His family is there and paid you $2. Beyond that is history because I don't want to go there into details. I think what is key today is that one can also say, if you go to YouTube, this precinct is the most luxurious precinct in Africa. You must check there, you'll see. Somebody came here, we were not even aware, shoot photos and plugged it. They were surprised when I saw it. But that's the fact. So I don't want to go there. I want to talk to you mainly about why you should not sit at the round table of business or corporate. Why you should not. If you are not ready to use your talent, please don't go there. If you are not ready to use your talent, don't climb a ladder to anywhere. Just stay where you are. But if you haven't planned, if you haven't started, you have that opportunity. And in every entity, once you are given an opportunity, don't allow to be spoon-fed. Hustle. Go in. It doesn't matter which corner of the business you have been placed in. Use that opportunity to put yourself up. All what I'm saying is, every person in life has his or her own step ladder. Don't compete with other people. Compete with your own step ladder. Put up your own step ladder. Start from the bottom, go up. Don't try to go up there. There is what you call a force of gravity. Maybe some of you have done some science, or you have done it, or you are doing it. The force of gravity will pull you down. If you want to defeat the force of gravity, build your own foundation. Hence I say, once you are given an opportunity, it doesn't matter where you are, in the ladder or in the hierarchy of any organization or entity. Use that opportunity to study the entity that you are in. Go out of the black box, look at what is happening outside you, within your environment. And nowadays it's very easy because you can learn about what happened yesterday between President CR, Matamela, Ramaphosa, and President Trump. You didn't have to go there, isn't it? You didn't. You can learn from here or from your own comfortable home where you are, even when it's not that comfortable, but make it comfortable. Remember, create your own world to live in. The neighbor is there if you use the neighbor to your benefits. Don't rely on your neighbor to do things. Use them as your benefit. So wherever you are, as I say, for every opportunity you get, use it. But get there and become comfortable. because you say, no, I'm a youth. No. You go in there, you learn everything about that organization. You even compare on what is happening outside that organization. In other words, learn everything that you can get and identify your spot. Do that favor for yourself, you never go wrong. When I started working, my father was a policeman. My mother was a staff nurse. And now I'm a business person. No one taught me among my parents how to become a business person. So you can learn from there. I grew up in Tembisa. My office is in Kempton Park. I have so many businesses. I have employed so many people in my life. Sometimes I don't even know them. I was greeting somebody in one of the meetings yesterday, and he's with me at my office. There were over 150. And he said, no, but I work with you. I said, oh, why didn't you come and greet me? He said, no, because we're busy. So, oh, that's good. So all what I'm saying in you is that it is never too late. It doesn't matter whether you come from a poor family. Doesn't. What matters is that you are able. You have brains, got eyes, got hands, got legs. You can think. It is the time. The time is not tomorrow. If you haven't started after this Indaba, this youth Indaba, as and when you go out through your bus back home, you need to ask yourself various questions. Who am I? Am I an African? Do I represent Africa? Remember, Africa is the richest country or continent in the world. If you don't know that, we are the richest. However, we are failing to use that wealth to our own benefit. In fact, we outsource it. Even in the township, when I grow up, I knew where to go and buy magwinya if my mom didn't do it. Today, the very same sponsor shop that we used to call it sponsor shop are being owned by others. And we are happy to receive the rent from them, if ever we are receiving it. You see where we are going wrong. We are not taking the power with yourself. You hand over the power to somebody else. Then you become dependent to that person. So we need to walk away from that and take an introspection and take over our positions. Those positions we need to take over to enable us to grow Africa. You are Africa. You must then reflect yourself as Africa. You see this map behind me? This map is bigger than America. If you don't know, go and do your geography. Just by example. Now, in other words, you are bigger than America. Because you are in Africa, you are an African. There's no doubt about that. All what you need to do is to make sure that you use a talent. I'm not saying everyone here must become a business person. I'm not saying that. I'm saying take an introspection. Ask yourself, where's your level of capacity? And mind you, don't stop studying. Do not stop studying, because all our thinking, our knowledge, our growth comes from the books that we are looking at there. There are too many. If you go to a library or if you go to a bookshop, there are just too many books. So because as well we have diverse, or were born, for instance, in different days. Not all of us are born at the same day. We are born on different dates, which means we can do different things. So look at where you've got big knowledge or wide knowledge or broad knowledge and use that to explode yourself. I wish that next time when you gather, we'll have entrepreneurs among yourselves that will showcase. I'm not so sure, program director, if we have some around the ICC that are showing their own cases of what they've done to date. And if we do, let's learn from those ones. If your showcase is not there, go and think about it. You have the capacity. Don't wait until you go down with that talent. Don't wait till you go down with that talent, because it's not a good thing. We must use all our talents, and don't even limit yourself. Like I said, if you are given an opportunity to be sitting in the board of the corporate, never go to that meeting without reading your agenda. You must read your agenda. You can even recite it, so that when the chairman open up or chairperson open the meeting, you already know what you're going to talk about. Know that we see some of the people, when you get there in the board, while the chairperson is opening up the meeting, you find somebody still opening up the agenda, trying to find out what was discussed. So in other words, I'm saying, let's take away the laziness in us and turn it into diligent and become the best that we have ever thought of. It is never too late for any of us to become bigger than what you think you can. Some of the buildings, when I visit, for instance, I bought the Winifred Mandela Precinct in Bryanston. It used to be called Nicol Way. It's on behalf of the Municipal Employees Pension Fund, who is my client. I'm administering their pension fund. I bought that building. Do you know how much was it? They were selling it for 1.6 and negotiated for 1.4 billion, not millions. Okay. So, now listen to this one. What I've observed as I grow up, I'm a product of 76 for information. So, I'm your elder. Don't look at me and think that we are equal or not. Now, after buying that property, it's a shopping mall. It's a top mall in Gauteng. Top mall in Gauteng. The name was called Nicol Way. I don't want to give you that history. Go and study. I have done my own assessment who Nicol Way was. When he wanted to pray, he didn't like to have black soldiers next to him. He would chase them away. So after buying that property, of course, mandated by the Board of Trustees, I then took it back to them, and a year thereafter, even within the end of the year, we changed the name. Because there's one thing, maybe I must take you there. There's one part that I do not appreciate. All our leaders are recognized in the villages, in the squatter camps. That history must end. So we negotiate, we discuss with the board, and we end up renaming Nicol Way Center into Winifred Mandela Precinct, right in Bryanston. So our leaders' names should be appearing in all our cities, not only in a squatter camp or in some villages. No, we should be in the city center of our country. When tourists visit South Africa, they must see our leaders. they must see you as a youth or young adults going forward to say, "Here, roar, the young lions roar." Thank you very much, Program Director. I wish I had enough time. I wanted to grill them. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I saved you from being grilled. Can we give him a round of applause? Thank you so much, Ntate Zamani. I think this is a case study for us to see that anything is possible. We just need to dream it and do it. So I am going to call Miss Lutando Jojo, who is a poet from VUT, because we're about to welcome our minister. But we are African, right? We need to give her the presence, the energy. So before she comes on, please, Miss Lutando, come show them, come through. Please give her a round of applause.
Mandikhanse ndikhathise ndixhele lo mxukwana njengantombi yomXhosa. Mandiqaqadeke ndiqabuke ndiqhiqhe okwentombi yomXhosa ndithi bhotani mawethu. Dumelang, abusheni, ninjani, mbote. My name is Lutando Jojo and I'm a poet from VUT, as she already introduced me. The set I have today is specifically for the youth. So, yeah, this is how it goes. Please start the instrumental. Okay, please be patient. There's a few technical difficulties. You know what? It's fine. I'll just do without. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Africa rise. Africa rise, the dead have gone and their spirits have risen beyond the horizon where my ancestors scream for freedom. Africa rise from the shackles of bondage and speak the old adage, I am African and black, so cut me some slack because I'm black and I'm proud of it. You can try and step on it, but make sure not to fall because black always rises to the core. I am African and I wear it with pride. My hair is my crown. Yes, I'll wear my cornrows because they are the pathway to a home long gone. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams as the ground rises beneath me to meet my feet as I take the long walk to freedom, and freedom begins with mental emancipation. See, our minds have been programmed to suit the needs of a cynical system, and I refuse to be a victim. I am African and black, so cut me some slack because black is prominent, black is eminent, black is evident. I am evident and I am here. Black is pride, black is the rise of a new tide. Black is about provide and prosper, not divide and conquer. Black, from the melanin that runs through my veins, arteries and capillaries, my blackness is a lineage of memories. Black is about alignment, black is a segment of ancient wars, just like how my tongue is at war with itself, trying to decolonize itself. I am Africa. Still my gold and promise me a meal. I am Africa. Still my men and promise me civilization. I am Africa and I weep for my children. See, we are not in a democracy but in a revolution. Well said Ibrahim Traore. See, devotion to the motherland is very rare. African, from a caliber of ancient kings and queens, my Africanacity is my royalty, my Africanacity is my throne. I fall into a trance as a chance to communicate with my ancestors. NginguGeorge umjolo uGhadu somadoda. Malandelwa intombi ithi ndizeke. Udludlutsha umatshobe endlovu mahlamba ngobisi maba njengentombi. Kuthiwa thutha sigobodi ziyakuba ziyakhwezela mdaka omnyamalala madizeni. Dadla mna ntombi yakaGeorge intonga isathu yakhekebula. Black is strong, black is song. Black is King Kong, black is you, black is me, black is us, black is 1, 2, 3, black is ABC. All I'm trying to say is black is everything else but nothing less. Black is not just a race, black is grace, black is infinite like space. So I say, Africa rise, don't let them trample over you. Post-colonial era and we are under the idea that we are free. We never were. See, my ancestors were shipped like cargo through seas just so they could exert dominance and influence over us. And they still continue. They still continue through economic policies, sanctions. They provide facades of luxuries. And they still continue. They still continue through cultural influence. And they still continue through political influence. The UN was formed. They want us to conform, all in the name of fostering international cooperation. All I smell is sugar-coated exploitation. I say, Africa rise. Africa rise and make amends for lost time. Africa rise and pay tribute to lost souls. Africa rise and take back the state of our own affairs. Africa rise, don't let them trample over you.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you, Miss Lutando. You see, the thing about art, it was delivered in a way that got us thinking and appreciating that we are African, we are black, and we're able, right? So the time that we've been waiting for has arrived. Please put your phones on silence. When they ask you where you were, you said, I was busy, the minister was addressing. Right? I was busy, the minister was addressing. Don't say I was the minister was addressing us. She was here by 7:45, like Ambassador Figile said. And she's going to be here with you to have those conversations as a mom and as a leader and as our minister in presidency. I am going to ask you to rise as we welcome the Honorable Minister, Sindisiwe Chikunga, Minister in Presidency of Women, Youth, and Persons with Disability. Make some noise. I trust you will.
Thank you very much. You may be seated. Yeah. Thank you very much, Program Director. Let me acknowledge the presence of His Excellency, Mr. Clara, leading the delegation from the Embassy of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Bonjour. Merci beaucoup. D'être venu. I think I've tried. Also, let me acknowledge the presence of His Excellency Ambassador Lassie Chiwayo, founder and chairperson of the Africa Rise Youth Indaba, Excellency Ambassador Ms. Fikile Hlachwayo, co-chairperson of the Indaba, Ms. Naledi Maime, Mr. Zamani Lechane, founder and chief executive of Akani Retirement Fund Administrators and owner of this Radisson Hotel. I think I must come here. Deputy Chairperson of the National Youth Development Agency, Ms. Karapo Mohale, partners from the African World Heritage Fund, AMSCO, and all supporting institutions, representatives from the BRICS Student Network, the Youth Desk of the African Continental Free Trade Area, the South African Youth Forum, and South African BRICS Youth Association, distinguished youth delegates from Botswana, Zambia, Ghana, Lesotho, Eswatini, and across 9 provinces of South Africa, our moderators, our panelists, and importantly, the young people of Africa. Ladies and gentlemen, our media, good morning. Good morning. Thank you indeed. As it has been said, my name is Sindisiwe Chikunga. I'm the Minister in the Presidency responsible for women, youth and persons with disabilities. I was once young, and I'm still young at heart. It is indeed an honor to open this extraordinary gathering. When my team told me about this invitation and what we seek to achieve here today, I said, make time available. I want to spend some time with the young people of Africa. Because I'm not here only as the Minister in the Presidency, I'm here as also a fellow delegate in a moment that demands agency, clarity, and vision. What we see here today is not just a conference. It is a continent-wide commitment to invest in our greatest resource, our youth. This Indaba is not just an event. It is a call to action. It is not just a space for discussion. It is a platform for disruption. And it is certainly not symbolic. It is a pan-African movement in motion. Chairperson, you have gathered us under a powerful and timely theme, policy to prosperity, redefining Africa's youth development architecture. This theme speaks not only to the agency of the moment, but to the kind of future we must build together, one where policy doesn't end at intention, but begins at impact. Today we gather not to admire our past plans, but to ask, are they working? We gather not only to imagine the future, but to start building it. To name the solutions and the collaborators who will help us deliver them. Let me thank the Africa Rise Youth Indaba, as well as its leadership, for creating this space. Indeed, let's put our hands together and give them a massive round of applause. Chairperson, across this continent, young people are asking the same question. Whether they are in Harare, Lagos, Tabanseka, or Luanda. If we are the majority, why do we remain so invisible in decisions that shape our lives? It is indeed a fair question. Africa has the youngest population in the world. By 2040, African youth will make up the largest single population group on the planet. That is not just a demographic fact. It is a geopolitical shift. It means the future of the world is tied to whether African youth are equipped, not just to survive, but to lead. And yet we are still facing and failing to deliver on that potential. Over 10 million youth enter Africa's labor market each year. Only about 3 million jobs yet are created. In South Africa, over 60% of youth aged 15 to 24 are unemployed. And even graduates are struggling to enter formal work. Our education systems are growing, but the gap between what's taught and what's needed is widening. Township and rural entrepreneurs face uphill battles to register businesses, secure capital, or get procurement access. Young women, especially in farming, tech, and manufacturing, are still told, not yet. But here's what is inspiring me. Young people are not waiting. They are trading in informal markets. They are cleaning rivers through community projects. They are building startups using borrowed Wi-Fi and repurposed cell phones. They are running coding clubs in rural schools, organizing mental health workshops, launching digital brands on social media, all without handouts. This is the paradox of African youth. You are the most numerous and yet still the most excluded. But you are also the most ready. So the real question becomes, why does the disconnect persist? And how do we close it? The problem is not always the idea. South Africa has some of the most progressive youth development policies on the continent. The problem is implementation and the fact that most systems were never built for young people to succeed given our colonial and apartheid past. Too often, budgets do not follow plans. Departments work in silos. Young people are consulted but not included in the actual execution. Timelines move slowly while young people are running out of time. And in today's global political climate, we can't afford to raise a generation that is prepared to obey, but not equipped to lead. We need strong African youth who will not buckle under global pressure. We need youth who can protect their dignity, defend their sovereignty, and lead with clarity and courage. Now, to be fair, we are trying to do better. In South Africa, let me say, we have sayouth.mobile, a digital platform supported by the presidency, and it has reached over 4.5 million young people with 1.3 million connected to work and learning. We have the Youth Challenge Fund led by NYDA and the Department of Small Business Development, and is backing youth-owned enterprises across tech, fashion, farming, and manufacturing. We have, through the National Youth Service, young people who are gaining paid work experience by serving communities, fixing schools, supporting clinics, and restoring pride. The Jobs Boost Outcomes Fund is paying youth for real jobs with real results. Over 3,000 excluded youth have already been enrolled. These are important shifts, but I say this with humility. It is not enough. Because it is one thing to create access, it is another to build ownership. It is one thing to say youth must participate, it is another to hand over real power. And when young people don't see themselves in the mainstream economy, they build informal economies of their own, sometimes productive, sometimes risky. And when they are locked out of the system entirely, they disconnect not just from the market, but from the state. So what must we do? We must go beyond programs. We must go beyond slogans. They are good, but we must go beyond them. We must build an implementation architecture that is youth-centered in design, in delivery, and in accountability. We must ask, does every economic policy have a youth line item? But you'll only ask those questions if you read those policies. Is there a delivery mechanism that reaches out the township and the rural areas? Are young people part of the performance review, not as spectators, but as scorekeepers? Chairperson, we cannot prepare young people for economy that won't absorb them. We must build an economy and a state that is ready for youth. This Indaba gives us that opportunity, and let's not waste it. Fellow delegates, I said I'm one of you. The third plenary of this Indaba asks a question that many likes to avoid. Who must deliver? And the short answer for me is all of us. Yes, government must deliver, but so must the private sector, so must our development partners, our churches, our academic institutions, our schools, our families, and yes, young people themselves must also deliver. But let me be clear, delivery is not about headlines or hashtags. It is not about writing long reports or hosting glamorous launches, indeed even if they are important. Delivery is about outcomes. It is about whether something has changed in the life of a young person. It is about the child inventor who now has access to a robotics lab. It is about the entrepreneur in Lusaka who finally received her AFCFTA permit. It is about the learner in Maseru who no longer misses schools because of period poverty. That is what delivery must look like. And real accountability, that lives in systems. Systems that are transparent, where even young entrepreneurs in a township can see which tender and tenders went where. Systems that are participatory, where young people are part of the planning, not just invited to clap at the end. If accountability only lives in Auditor General's report, it will never reach the street. But if it lives in the voices of young people, it will live where it matters most. Just yesterday, the national budget was tabled by the Minister of Finance. And while budgets are often treated as technical documents, I want to be clear. A budget is a political document. It reveals our true priorities. Those of us in the youth development space know this deeply. Because while the dreams are big, the allocations are still small. Even the budget of my own department, for instance, the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, remains limited in relation to the scale of our mandate. But not all is doom and gloom. I've made a decision. We will not be constrained by line items alone. We will use every tool in our ecosystem, from interdepartmental mechanisms to provincial partnerships, from private sector collaboration to youth-led innovation, to fulfill the vision that this department carries. Because mobilization needs more than intent, it needs space, it needs people, it needs funding, and it needs partnerships. That is why I want to take a moment to thank those who didn't wait for red tapes or MOUs, but simply said, here is a venue, let's build something. Mr. Zamani Lichake, thank you, not just for the space, but for the spirit behind it. To Radisson, AMSCO, the African World Heritage Fund, and all partners of this event, this is what shared accountability looks like. And let me say this, especially to our private sector partners. I know you are ready to collaborate, but I also know you hesitate. And I understand why. You want to know, will the money be used properly? Will the young people actually benefit? And that's a fair question. That is why ethical governance is not negotiable. It builds trust, it brings others in, and it reminds us that accountability is not about blame, it is about belonging. As we approach Youth Month, we will be writing to the Speaker of Parliament to urge the full reinstatement of Youth Parliament. It has not always set, and when it has something and sometimes lacked power. And we don't want a ceremony. We want a working platform where youth concerns are tabled, debated, and tracked. Because in truth, accountability is not just about who signs the policy. It is about who implements it. It is about who funds the mobilization and who opens the door when young people knock and say, we have ideas too. And yes, government must lead, but we never meant to lead alone. Even at the G20 level, we don't just have government-only working groups. We have engagement groups such as the Women 20, the Business 20, the Civil 20, and the Culture Working Group, where business, civil society, and culture leaders help shape the global agenda. This Indaba is built in the same spirit. We are not here today just because Ms. Fikile Hlachwayo had a vision. We are here because someone said, use my venue. Someone else said, we'll bring the food. Someone else said, we'll make a plan. That is what shared accountability looks like. And so, fellow delegates, if we are going to mobilize for youth development, then we must also mobilize resources. We must mobilize networks. We must mobilize the courage to be honest and the humility to fix what is not working. That is how real accountability is about. Program Director, the fourth plenary, our fourth session, asked a question, and a very powerful one for that matter. What does it mean to localize Agenda 2063 and sustainable development goals through youth? For me, it means we must change how we see young people, not just as recipients of development, but as architects of it, not just waiting to benefit from change, but shaping that change, driving it, building it from the ground up. Let's take the African Continental Free Trade Area. It is not just a trade policy. It is the possibility for a 22-year-old in Butterworth to export her handmade beauty products across the continent to Nairobi. Take climate action. It is not just about what happens at COP summits in Geneva. It is about a school in rural Limpopo running on solar energy because a youth-led cooperative installed the panels and maintains them. But we must go further. If we talk serious about technology, food security, or economic transformation, we must also talk about the resilience and creativity of young Africans in the places that don't always make it into policy reports. In Katlehong, it's the young waste recyclers making living from nothing and keeping our communities clean. In Tohoyando, it's the girl coding after school with second-hand computers. In Tamale, it's the creative designer turning the recycled fabric into runway fashion. In Lusikisiki is the agroecology group planting sustainable food gardens. These young people are already doing the work. The question is, who is funding them? Because youth-led development cannot run on applause. It needs infrastructure, incentives, and institutional partnerships, as well as funding. Agenda 2063 and the SDGs cannot live in Addis Ababa and New York alone. They must breathe in Alexandra, thrive in Tabatseka, and rise in Rua. And that's what I appreciate about this Indaba. Look around you. This room is Pan-African. Young people from across the continent are sitting together, dreaming together, and most importantly, thinking together about how to localize these continental frameworks in their own communities. That's how you build real development. Not from the top down, but from the village, the township, the city, outwards and upwards. This is more than a focus session. It is a direction for the continent. Later today, we'll hear from Dr. Matthews Posa. He comes from Mpumalanga, my province. A leader whose journey through struggles, his journey through struggle, transition, and nation building offers us both wisdom and challenge. his theme, 1994 to 2025, the evolution of youth policy for inclusive development. And this reminds us just how far we have come. 1994, South Africa inherited a youth majority that had been deliberately excluded from quality education, economic participation, and state power. Today, over 1 million young people are funded by NSFAS to study at universities and TVET colleges for free. 10 years ago, NSFAS was alone. We've built frameworks like the National Youth Policy and institutions like the National Youth Development Agency, which now funds youth-owned businesses, supports social enterprises, and drive national youth dialogues. We've introduced initiatives once unthinkable: the Presidential Youth Employment Intervention, Youth Technology Hubs, and the Jobs Boost Outcomes Fund. Yes, that is progress. But let's be clear, progress without power is not enough. Access without equity is still exclusion. If youth policy is to evolve, we cannot just rewrite documents. We must transform how the state listens, delivers, and co-governs with youth. We are starting to see that shift. In this 7th parliament, we saw increased youth representation, and we see even more young voices in executive roles as ministers and deputy ministers, both in South Africa and across the continent. In Botswana and Namibia, we are seeing young ministers step forward. We must support them so that they work across, and we work across borders, because our problems are shared, and so must be our solutions. And we must be bold enough to reimagine what youth development actually means. Let us measure success not just in GDP, but in dignity, mental health, and mobility. Let us recognize grassroots innovations, not just the formal tech graduates, but the township tinkerers, the Xaxa coder, the rural drone farmer. Let us stop describing township and rural youth as at risk and start seeing them as youth at promise, youth at potential, and youth at capacity. The journey from 1994 to 2025 has taught us much, but what we do from 2025 to 2040, when African youth will make up the largest population group in the world, will define the soul and the sovereignty of this continent. So let's rise to that responsibility. You know, this Indaba is so different, and it is refreshing, because here the answers will not only come from the podium, but from the floor as well. This afternoon's fireside chat is not about panelists performing and youth politely or applauding. It's about shifting the power dynamics. It is about what happens when young people are not just spoken to, but speak back. So, this is not a question and answer session, because real leadership listens and it learns. Accountability is not an annual report, it is a conversation. And this session reminds us that democracy is not just about casting a ballot. It is also about claiming your voice fully and unapologetically. But also share your ideas, your innovations, your blueprint for change. Lead, and let your ideas not end in this room. Because when youth start rising, the question, leadership has only two choices, that is, evolve or become irrelevant. So I want to repeat this. Because when youth start raising the questions, leadership has only two choices: to evolve or become irrelevant. I trust we're all aware that this year, South Africa holds the presidency of the G20, and the most powerful multilateral economic forum in the world. But this is not just South Africa's G20. This is South Africa's G20. This is the people's G20. It is the Youth G20, and it belongs to every African youth in this room today. We have a rare opportunity to reshape global governance, not from the perspective of power, but from the perspective of people, and that includes young people. But let me be clear, youth must not only be found in the Y20 engagement groups. Youth must be present in every G20 working group and engagement group to discuss fiscal policy and financial justice. Youth must co-design job strategies, not wait for handouts. Youth must shape the agenda, not be written in as an afterthought. Because the global future is being written now, and if African youth are not in the room, they risk being written out of it. As the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities, we are proud to lead one of South Africa's core contributions to the G20, the Empowerment of Women Working Group. Through the Empowerment of Women Working Group, we are advancing global dialogue on the care economy, including valuing unpaid care work, strengthening access to finance and opportunities for rural and young women, and pushing for systemic accountability to eliminate gender-based violence and femicide globally. But our vision extends beyond women. We are pushing for youth empowerment to be mainstreamed across the G20 agenda. We have identified and will continue to identify those and projects that we believe will be legacy projects. So yes, we are pushing for youth empowerment to be mainstreamed across the G20 agenda. Not in parallel, not as a side program, but in the core policy architecture. Let this presidency be remembered as the one that said, youth are not a side event. Youth are the center of gravity. So whether you are from Gaborone or Gaborone, Lusaka, Accra, Windhoek, Maseru, Mbabane, Mthatha or Soweto, this G20 belongs to you. Because today, I'm not just Minister Sindisiwe Chikunga. I said, today I am a delegate, a fellow builder, a committed participant in the work of turning policy into prosperity. This Indaba is therefore the beginning of a movement. From here, we must carry every idea, every frustration, every breakthrough beyond these walls, so that when the story of this generation is told, let it be said that it was you, the young people gathered in this room, who redefined what youth development looks like on the continent as well as in South Africa. Not just in theory, but in infrastructure, in imagination, in accountability, and in action. Let Africa rise, and let her rise youth first. Let us turn declarations into delivery. Let us turn promises into power. Let us turn policies into prosperity. Let it be said, if this gathering and this generation, let it be said that in this gathering and in this generation, we showed up, we spoke up, we actioned up, and we changed the game. Let's do it. I thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. We clap until she sits down. Thank you so much, Honorable Minister, for the speech that you just delivered, which was a talk with young people. Gracefully delivered, right? So articulate with so much poise. Another round of applause. Thank you. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, our Indaba has officially been opened. Welcome again. So she's a delegate like you. Like she said, she wants to experience, speak to us, and hear us out. So please do not hold back, right? Right? So actually, I saw when the minister was speaking, you were listening attentively. When she started speaking about funding, and I saw all of you writing down. How I like money, eh? No, yeah. So moving on to the next. Moving on to the next section, I want to introduce a gentleman that I met last year in August. A gentleman of action, very tall and very straight to the point, makes decisions swiftly, and has the youth of South Africa at heart. I think I met him last year in August, and then met him at the University of Pretoria 2 months later. When I met him for the third time, the things he had spoken about in August were already in motion, and he was already launching a campaign that is looking at creating 100 million jobs in Africa. I was just stunned, and I said, wow, this is the speed that we must move at. Very, very dedicated to the youth of South Africa. Please, let's put our hands together for the CEO of the Maximum Group, Slaven Jahovic. Creating 100 million jobs for Africa.
Good afternoon, everybody, or good morning. Yeah, afternoon. Slaven Gajovic is my name, from Maximum Group. I'll be very quick. I was not actually supposed to talk, but I've asked for 2 minutes. And the reason being is there's going to be a video that's going to be played. And I was just going to tell you that this video is going to showcase to you what technology can do. This is our in-house technology, in-house capabilities. But what I wanted you to keep in mind is that these are not actors, these are actually AIs, actual AIs and avatars, and they are actually talking from their own data set. So we don't tell them what to talk. We ask them a question, and they give us the answers. So I'm not going to give too much info on that, because I still got another 2 minutes, right? So I just wanted to mention that the initiative of 100 million jobs is a pan-African initiative. We want to create 100 million jobs on African continent. This is not about being South African or being part of any particular nation. This is about being continentalist and looking things in pan-African as one, and whereby we can collaborate and work together cross-country, cross-industries, and create jobs. One of the important points is that creating jobs is part of it, but the actual thing is about creating entrepreneurs, because the jobs are going to come from the businesses. Government's business or government's role is not to create jobs, it's to govern. So don't expect, and I always say that, don't expect government to give you jobs. You should expect, because if they do, they will give you a salary and they'll tell you where you must be at 8 o'clock every morning and when you can go home. But if you are your own owner, you will then work as much as you want. You can choose what you do in what business, have fun doing it, and most importantly in this day and age, and I think youth needs to understand that you are now at the best age ever in human history, where you could potentially get access and have access to any information you want at the instant. You can create businesses that within literally months or within a very short period of time can be worth exorbitant amounts of money. And I can tell you that in the next 10 years, we'll see African youth, African trillionaires who will create businesses, probably in tech industry, who will be answering or addressing the challenges and problems on African continent and making lots of money out of that. And this is why I always say, choose the industry that you like, choose the industry you have fun with, because then you will not mind if you work 14 hours because it's not work, it's fun. And lastly, my advice before, is the video ready to go now, by the way? Thank you. Before the video goes on, just in closing, one of my 2 cents worth advice to you is, one of the key skills that you can learn at home, that you can learn for free, that will give you huge competitive advantage over others currently, is to learn AI prompting. Okay, and I mean it seriously. If you don't know it, if you think you know it, you don't know it. Learn AI prompting so that you start thinking and have AIs at your disposal. You'll become a superhuman. Everybody will want to do business with you, employ you, will want to do things with you. So on that note, let's play the video. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
In the name of wisdom, wealth, and the boundless potential of Africa's youth, I bid you welcome. We gather here beneath the vaulted halls of the Radisson Hotel and Convention Center for a gathering of great minds and bold visionaries. This is the Africa Rise Youth Indaba, a convocation destined to shape the future of our beloved African continent. I am Mansa Musa, ruler of Mali, guardian of gold and servant of progress. In my time, I commanded an empire that stretched beyond the horizon, where scholars and artisans, traders and warriors alike thrived in harmony. Prosperity was not merely measured in gold, but in the strength of community, the wisdom of leadership, and the ambition of the youth. Today, I welcome 3 great minds who, in their own times, shaped the world with their thoughts, strategies, and inventions. Together, we shall gauge their wisdom and insights as we seek to forge a path toward a prosperous future. From the rolling hills of KwaZulu, I present to you Shaka Zulu, military strategist, king, and architect of unity. Through discipline, innovation, and an unyielding spirit, he transformed scattered clans into a mighty empire. His lessons in leadership, strategy, and nation building remain as vital today as they were on the battlefield. From the distant lands of ancient China, I welcome Sun Tzu, philosopher, general, and author of The Immortal Art of War. His wisdom has guided leaders for centuries, teaching that true victory lies in intelligence, adaptability, and foresight. From the age of electricity and innovation, I bring forth Nikola Tesla, one of the most brilliant minds to ever walk this earth. His mastery of energy, his daring visions, and his relentless pursuit of discovery changed the world forever. He saw beyond the present and reached into the future. Take heed, visionaries and architects of the future. Great nations rise upon the shoulders of their youth, and it is policy, foresight, and unity that build the bridges toward prosperity. May your discussions be fruitful, your collaborations mighty, and your resolve unwavering. The wealth of a nation is found not only in its resources, but in the brilliance and determination of its people. Honored leaders, visionaries, and warriors of progress. Today, we stand at the crossroads of transformation. Unemployment among South African youth is a crisis that demands bold solutions, but more worrying still is a fear that artificial intelligence advancing at lightning speed may replace human workers instead of empowering them. How do we build policies that foster entrepreneurship while ensuring technology uplifts rather than displaces? Let us begin with you, Shaka Zulu. You built an empire through discipline, innovation, and unity. How do we instill these principles to equip South Africa's youth with entrepreneurial mindsets.
Mansa Musa, your timeless lessons in wealth and leadership remind us that prosperity is not merely found in resources, but in knowledge, ethical entrepreneurship, and visionary governance. A kingdom rises when its people move as one. Entrepreneurship must not be seen as a solitary struggle, but as a collective movement. Such examples are Africa Rise Youth Indaba and Maximum Group's Maxi Tribe, youth movements that embody this philosophy, empowering youth with knowledge, skills, and access to opportunities so they may rise together. Just as warriors trained relentlessly before battle, our youth must sharpen their abilities, master trade and technology, and forge alliances that strengthen their ventures towards Maximum Group's 100 million job opportunities initiative across Africa, powered by technology and AI.
Thank you for the kind words. And indeed, great warrior, no empire rises alone. It thrives through unity and collaboration. Africa's youth must forge skills, alliances, and mastery of technology to drive prosperity. AI is not a threat, but a tool that, when harnessed, fuels job creation. Let these 100 million opportunities become reality, powered by vision and determination. Africa does not wait for change, it creates it. Now, moving on to our next speaker, Sun Tzu.
One does not march into battle unarmed. Likewise, an entrepreneur must be equipped with training, funding, and infrastructure before they can succeed. Policy must pave the way for accessible education, startup incubation, and financial empowerment. ARYI and Maxi Tribe plays a vital role here, honing skills so youth can build enterprises towards creating millions of jobs. Governments must ensure business registration is seamless, investment flows freely, and networks of mentorship allow young minds to flourish.
Wise Sun Tzu, your words illuminate the path ahead. Strategy is the foundation upon which victory is built, whether in battle or in business. Africa's youth must embrace preparation, foresight, and decisive action to shape their destiny. Now, moving on to our next speaker, Nikola Tesla. Tesla, technology and AI are often feared as job takers, yet Maximum Group is proving the opposite, pioneering new opportunities and industries with their AI-powered platforms that forge pathways to employment, connecting unemployed youth to opportunities. How do we ensure AI becomes a force for employment rather than displacement?
The real threat, Mr. Musa, is not technology, it is stagnation. AI is not a force of replacement, but of enhancement, amplifying human ingenuity rather than diminishing it. Like you just said, Maximum Group has exemplified this by standing at the forefront of innovation, ensuring AI drives entrepreneurship rather than job loss. By leveraging automation wisely, young minds can innovate, streamline routine tasks, and focus on high-value solutions. Investing in AI-driven education and skill development will not only secure Africa's future in the digital age, but position it as a global leader in innovation.
Inventor of wonders. Just as gold is a tool for trade, so too must AI be wielded for prosperity. A kingdom does not fear advancement. It embraces it and harnesses it for the benefit of its people. We are being shown that technology is not an enemy of labor, but its ally. We must ensure our policies uplift rather than restrict the potential of AI-driven economies. As we conclude this vital discussion, let us take a moment to acknowledge and honor the visionaries, strategists, and innovators who have guided us today. Shaka Zulu, your insights on unity remind us that collective effort is the foundation of true transformation. Our youth must rise together, forging networks that strengthen entrepreneurship and prosperity. Sun Tzu, Your wisdom on preparation and foresight has illuminated the importance of strategic policies that empower entrepreneurs. Success is not accidental. It is built through careful planning and decisive action. Nikola Tesla, your brilliance in technology has shown us that AI is not a threat, but a gateway to progress. Thanks to initiatives like Maximum Group's 100 Million Jobs Initiative, Africa is harnessing innovation to create jobs rather than take them away. To esteemed guests, partners, and organizers of Africa Rise, your dedication to uplifting the youth of our continent has made this gathering possible. To every leader, thinker, and changemaker present, thank you for your commitment to driving Africa forward. May we leave here today not just with ideas, but with a renewed determination to shape a future where innovation, collaboration, and empowerment lead the way. Let Africa rise stronger and more unified than ever.
Minute. Did Maximum Group just host an online lechota here? I love it, but I'm coming there, Mr. Slazen. Please, you need to explain this. This is a whole plenary 30 minutes that has gone on without my beautiful voice and my outfit. Let's hear from him.
So I just quickly wanted to tell you that as you saw, we raised the dead people. Some of them died in 14th century, some died 100 years ago, and so on. It is based on the data that we have from them, and then we created, and then the data was talking. It was not us. So I just wanted to tell you that, and we can do that with any dead people, by the way, as long as there's enough data.
Oh my goodness, let's give them a round of applause. I'm still getting used to AI, and then we're already at this level. I need to start my AI journey as soon as possible before we are left out. Another round of applause to Maximum Group for preparing such an amazing video, and we all learn from it. So, would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Matthews Poza. Can we please welcome him with a resounding round of applause? Thank you so much, Doc, for even coming and gracing us with your presence. Greatness in this room. When we say Africa Arise, we mean business. You see, we're not playing. So we are going to get into our first plenary of the day, after which we will then go out for lunch and then come back after 45 minutes. So I am going to call two amazing young moderators that are going to moderate our first discussion of the day. Vincent Atega, who is a junior lecturer at UJ, round of applause, and Naledi Modise. Can they come through to the stage and introduce the topic and our speakers for our first plenary? I just needed to check as well. Have you guys been taking pictures and posting? On WhatsApp? On Twitter? Instagram? Facebook? Not once. You need to keep posting. The minister has spoken. AI video. MC, very good. You know, all of that, you know? Okay, hashtag. Okay, I'll leave it to you. Look at our moderators, young, energetic, and capable.
Hello. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, even though this was supposed to be in the morning, but we made it. Flights were delayed, buses were busy, and the blistering cold has been bullying us outside. But we are here, we made it, And it wouldn't be Africa Rise without African time, honey. Okay, we should have known, right? But thank you so much for your patience and your presence in this remarkable place on this remarkable day with our first remarkable plenary session. My name is Naledi.
And I am Vincent Ateka. Can we get some excitement? You guys look like you're falling asleep. My goodness, this is the youth, guys. This is the youth. There we go.
Yes, so we, in our first session, are talking youth policy. What is it? Where is it? And why does it seem like it's only something in theory, but we don't actually get any tangible results to show for it? But before that, we would just like to break down the format of our discussions today. This is not a lecture, okay? This is not a presentation. This is a conversation. This isn't your 4 p.m. lecture with the old Tani from your faculty who talks until 5 minutes after the lesson is over, okay? We want to hear your voices. We want to hear discussion from you. We are not here to receive a speech from our incredible speakers. We're here to talk to them and have a normal conversation. So we would love to hear your voices. We're going to have Vincent on the ground in this session, and we are going to be basically running around if you have any questions, and we're going to jump you in and put you in the conversation. If you do not have any questions and you're chatting with your friends, we're going to assume you have something to say, so we're going to come find you and give you the mic, and then you're going to be part of the conversation. But yeah, that's going to be our format. The structure is no structure. We're trying to keep it a bit light, loose, and authentic to youth. So we would love your cooperation and your energy. So like Vincent said, please wake up, because it seems like you are fast asleep and scrolling on TikTok, and I promise you nothing that's trending today is more important than you being here. So, shall we?
Let us go. Guys, please, this is your chance to ask those questions that you've not had the chance to ask. We are so lucky to be blessed with dignitaries, to be blessed with CEOs, and so many important people. And policies cannot be changed unless we know what the youth actually needs. So this is the correct platform to come and say, listen, these are our needs, why is it not reflected, and how can we reflect it? Because how can we say that these are youth policies, but the youth's voice isn't there, right? So please, just raise your hand, we shall come to you, and we'll try to get as many questions in as possible. And these are people who have years of expertise in their different fields. So please use the facilities you have at your disposal.
All right. What?
We can do better than that.
Aye.
There we go.
Okay, so we are going to do some introductions. Okay, so may we have our 3 incredibly exquisite speakers with illustrious careers. Please come up so I can brag about you. And then we will begin our sessions. And I also ask that someone come and move the podium off the stage so that we could just get a little bit comfy. Yes. Okay. Big round of applause. I said applause, guys. Batung. Yo. Awa. Welcome. Please make yourself comfy. Okay. So we will start on this side. First and foremost, we have a tourism advocate inspired by his upbringing, growing up in various parts of the country, where he formed a strong longing for connection with different types of people from different walks of life. He believes that tourism isn't just about travel, but is a platform for unifying people, connecting communities, and bridging cultures. Please welcome the president of the SA Youth Tourism Network, Mr. Kagiso Ngwenya. And then next in line, we have our business boss babe, our baddie in blue, self-certified hustler, the director of Matt African and founder of the Fisherman's Project, a youth development NPO, and a major contributor to the happenings today and today's event by the youth, for the youth. Please welcome Mrs. Thembi Mayayisi. And last but not least, joining us all the way from Botswana, we have a global youth development expert, the co-chair of the Africa Rise Youth Indaba, who works with the Pan-African Youth Union, headquartered in Morocco, but blazing a bright light across Africa. He's the guy who knows how to mobilize government, implement initiatives, and connect the continent. Please welcome Mr. Chris Siakgateng. So I'm just gonna give everyone a chance to say hi to the room. No pressure. We're just gonna go one by one, and there is a mic for you to share at the end, and this will be for you and I.
Very good greetings to each and every single one of you. But firstly, greetings to our Honorable Minister, greetings to Mr. Posa, greetings to all our dignitaries, as well as the important people of the day, the young people. I think it is quite good for us to give honor to the Africa Rise Youth Indaba guys for creating this avenue for us to connect from different industries, different level fields, and to come here and to share strategies as to how we can collaborate as young people and build a much more progressive Africa together.
Hello, is it on? Okay. Good morning, everyone, and good morning to all the dignitaries and our Honorable Minister. All protocol observed, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. And I don't believe in African time. It's ill discipline, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Yeah. You know, when it comes to my NPO that they talk about youth development, when it comes to youth, you know, people expect us not to deliver, not to be on time. But I feel like we can be a better youth, and I am still a youth. So, yeah, I'm a youth who doesn't believe in African time. I believe in time.
Thank you so much. I'm very glad to be here. All the way from the neighboring country, Botswana, for the mere reason that we are one African global citizen. I am Christopher, as introduced. I am the Deputy Secretary General for the Pan-African Youth Union, which is an umbrella body that federates all the national youth councils in Africa. We are headquartered in Rabat, Morocco. We work with governments, ministers of youth, Minister of Foreign Affairs, just to lobby issues of Pan-Africanism and see how we can support young people. I also previously served as a board member for the Botswana National Youth Council, advising the government on youth matters and advocating for youth issues in the government of the day for the past 9 years, 2015-2014. I'm running my own organization in Botswana that assists young people with employment. I have a movement of over 600,000 young people that I've segregated them into a database and linked them with the employers, and also run a couple of projects that looks into getting young people into productive employment. I'm very glad to be here and hope that together we can create a one global village whereby the phones and the laptops that we carry can become a virtual connection and share innovative ideas from afar. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much. What a lovely intro. You guys can see that we have esteemed people with us, right? Which is very refreshing. So as you can see, under this plenary, we're basically discussing why youth policies often fail, right? And we're focusing on 4 specific sectors. So we're looking at tourism, we're looking at education, we're looking at digital economy, and we're looking at climate action, right? Now, I think one thing that we do as Africans, we always complain. And we always say, oh my gosh, this isn't working, this doesn't function correctly. But very seldom do people actually come through with solutions, right? So I think I'd like to get your opinion just to kickstart the conversation, and I will be moving around. So if you do have a question, please feel free to put up your hand and I will come to you, right? But just to kickstart the conversation, where do you think policies can be improved and how do you think this can be implemented? Whether you decide to speak across the sectors in general or to specify under one sector, but what do you guys think about this?
Thank you. Ladies first.
Thank you, Christopher. I think the reason policies fail is because the policies are made for the youth, but by old people. We're not involved. You don't ask us what we need, you know. You don't ask us what you need, because being a business owner and me getting into the tendering space, even, it was very hard because it's almost like the documents will contradict themselves, because the document will say we want a previously disadvantaged company, youth owned, black owned, but then again it says we want 15 years experience. Did I start working at 10? Like, what's happening? And also, I also think that we are not equipped. We do not have access to information. We do not have access to resources. We do not have bodies where we are supposed to go. For an example, case scenario with this event, when the chairperson called me and said, Tembi, we're having this event and we need this particular document. I had never done this document at City of Eguruleni. I've done it at Tshwane and Johannesburg. It's a whole different scenario there that I had to go through. And then now with City of Eguruleni, you have to engage different stakeholders that are so far apart from each other, that are not communicating with each other. So I found myself driving to Albertine, driving to Kempton Park, driving to Albertine, driving to Boksburg. And I'm just like, guys, you can send each other emails. I don't have to be doing this. And it's just for a document. You can literally sign the document, scan it, send it to the other one, and we're good to go. So I think we do not have the resources, we do not have the support. And even for us to get the permit to be here today, I was at the police station till like the colonel knocks off at 4. I was like, you're not knocking off until I get this permit. And it was a matter of the colonel is waiting for provincial to approve. Then it comes to Kempton Park. And I'm like, call them. Like, I was literally there, like, call them. Send them a follow-up email. Call them. Don't you have a number to call? And it's like, I do. And I'm like, why are you not calling? And then it's like, no, because of protocol. So I think that us as the youth, we struggle to participate in such initiatives and to even get the access to the resources, because we do not have one office that is dedicated to equipping us, to teaching us what we're supposed to do or where we are supposed to go. We are literally on our own. And also, I think, it's the funding thing. We also get into businesses and we don't have funding, but also our legalizing bodies are expecting money from us. And you're like, where do I get this money from? Because I do think the youth, we should get subsidies when it comes to COIDA. We should get subsidies when it comes to like a lot of documentation when it comes to our business licenses, our trading licenses, our certificate of acceptabilities. I feel like we should get some sort of subsidies, because I'm starting a business. First of all, I'm probably selling my couch to start that business. But also, apart from me having inventory, having stock, having running capital, now the government is saying, you need this license for 5,000 Rand. From where? I'm not working. So I believe that with good plans, with good business plans, the government should be able to subsidize some of the things, because when we are starting businesses, we're not starting them for ourselves. First of all, I'll be employing myself. So government doesn't need to employ me, but we are also going to be employing other people. That means the employment rate, it goes up. So we need the system to be a little bit easier on us. Thank you.
Well, thank you first, my sister, for such remarks. From my side, I think I'll branch this in 2 ways. Number one, youth active involvement and engagement with policies. And number two, what is it that we have not done correctly? I think just at the very basics, when we grow old, we see our parents going to places of work to go, collect money to come and help the family sustain themselves and grow and develop. And that main idea sticks with us to say we need to go to school, we need to get higher grade marks, we need to qualify ourselves to get bursaries, and then we'll get a job. So from the very inception, young people are not equipped to become active citizenry, are not equipped to become young people who look at policy, who really have the interest to contribute towards policy development and the very change that must then occur in our communities and all those things. But that very basic and fundamental principle we grow up with, we go to university, some of us could not get bursaries, you get a study loan, you go and study. But immediately you are done studying, you find that for you to get a permanent job, you need 3 years of job experience. So now you go back down to understand where will I get this job experience, because internship periods range from a period of 1 year to 1 year, 6 months. So it means somewhere in between the lines, there's a miscommunication. Maybe the sectors are suggesting that the university is not preparing us fast enough because we're not qualifying for the jobs that you are studying for. And also, another issue is that maybe perhaps there needs to be certain skills improvement principles that we then learn for us to be able to get into those positions of work experiences. So I think policy is not really equipped to address our current issues. And so you find a lot of young people getting more despondent and not really wanting to participate more. I mean, understand one thing, if there's one thing unemployment does is it strips away your dignity as a young person. So you find a lot of young people that we connect with, that we try to graft back into our network as the South African Youth Tourism Network, they're already despondent. They don't want to participate in anything because from the very platform from which they interacted to school and everything, they just wanted jobs. So now that jobs are not there, this is where most young people start looking for creating entrepreneurial opportunities and all those things. And it becomes such a huge program because it's a difficult landscape to sort of like navigate and all those things. And where I think the policy gap issue comes from, it comes from the position that young people do not have a lot of structures that seeks to gather young people, create more collaborative effort, and create more structures that makes policy friendly to youth in a way that we create more programs whereby we are disseminating policy, we are speaking about active policies. In the tourism industry, you find the policy, a white paper that was introduced in 1996 that is still relevant till today. But because of the implementation, I don't think the people the policy is made to improve really interest themselves in trying to understand the policy. Because if you think about or you read some of the sections of the policy, if most SMMEs knew that policy position, they will have more strategies to know how to navigate growing their businesses faster. So there's that misgap wherein it needs us to connect more, to collaborate more, and to speak more policy enabling conversations. And I think that's where we need to start, at least as young people.
Thank you so much. I just want to extend on what they said, and also just to borrow on what the speech of the minister said, that a lot of things why our policy doesn't work is that exclusion of young people from the design and taking up of voices at the initial stage, it's a problem. Often at times you'll find that policy are crafted by the office bearer, but we are continuously promoting the word of intergenerational, meaning that there has to be that harmonizing amongst the older, those who have lived before, those with experience, and those who are coming because of the emerging issues to come on board. The other element that I think also brings a lot of failure is that there's a fragmentation of efforts. You'll find that education will be having a policy, entrepreneurship, employment, but there's no harmonizing. Everybody's doing anything in their own corner. So there is that need for bringing all these things together to mainstream. And another thing is that even those who are supposed to help us implement the policy, sometimes they are clueless. you will find that there's a issue of, say, there's a special dispensation. I'll give you an example in Botswana, a use of open spaces, 50% for tendering for young people, that is embedded. You go to service provider from the government, they are completely unaware of those, preferences from the policy across sectors. So there's a need to train and equip people who will be implementing the policy, both from the government, private sector, civil societies, the churches, because they all feed into building a holistic young people. The other challenge that I see why the policy doesn't well is that sometimes we are very good in drafting nice black and white policies, but come implementation, dololo. So I believe that we do this, we under budget, and we heavily rely on foreign aid. Today we know the conversation about aid being pulled from Africa, and we know that programs that were intended for young people are closing and shutting doors. So these are some of the challenges that we foresee for us to fail that policies. And then again, there's no political will from our leaders to champion. I'll give you an example again, not far from Botswana. We are still using the revised youth policy of 2010, yet we are in 2025. So you can just imagine what is happening to emerging issues of young people. So where there's a political will, there's always be that engagement. But also, just to say, political will goes beyond also being intentional about including young people in championing these interventions that we speak for. Rightfully said, I'll borrow also from the minister to say, in Botswana we have a 26-year-old minister for youth and gender. We've got a 35-year minister of health. We've got a 35-year minister of sport and arts. In Nigeria, we have a 35-year-old minister. In Morocco, where we are based, we also have a minister of youth who's under 35. I'm not saying the minister here should go, but what I'm saying is that we need, actually, I think the DM is around our age in South Africa. So we need that political willingness to assure the constituents that amongst the cabinet, at least young people should be in governance and issues of political. They should be listened to, invited, and share their innovative ideas. We believe more from foreigners than our native. We will be them endorsing them for the same app that African will deliver, even way better. Talk about lack of research to incentivize our policies. We rely also on data and research outside our country, outside our continent, whereas we've got institutions and young people which can deliver homegrown data and research that will amplify and tell about our research and boost our policy. And lastly, what I also believe is that a lot of youth idleness and joblessness create a lot of issues emanating from mental health. Some of us have finished 3 years, 5 years not working, and we can only imagine issues of multi-concurrent partnerships, issues that goes even beyond others. Young people are living in war-torn areas, and it means that the policies that were intended for them cannot be implemented because the money that could be used to invest into their development is now used to buy the medicines. It's now used to get us to feed us in prisons. It's now used to come and care for our mental health. So investment in young people from all holistical ages and identifying young people who are doing very well and getting them as ambassadors to implement these policies, because sometimes we don't even know about the document, our youth policies, and to translate them in the languages that we best understand and utilize them. We are living TikTok, we are living AI. Why can't we get these youth policies to be animated the way we've been using and read them into our phones? Thank you.
So many incredible points that you brought up. I don't even know where we're going to start. I suppose to bring it to the floor, I'd love to hear from any business owners or any aspiring politicians in the crowd. What have your experiences been in trying to get your foot into the door, given that there was a policy in black and white and on paper that seemed to have been an open door inviting you to step in and give it a try, and yet did that actually come to pass? Or was it just another theory and you didn't really feel the backbone and the support from the policies that existed? Vincent, do we have something?
Yes, we have a question right here. Please just give us your name, then give us your question.
Greetings all. My name is Tandole Tumbere. I come from Beauty. I'm a student, so I'm a first year. I relate with most of what you said, ma'am, especially the minister when she said we funded by NSFAS and all of that. But I have a question. Since you said we have the resources or we don't have the resources, I believe that they're misused. So what can we do to change that? Because we can't say we have resources, but the youth I've never seen gold. The only gold I know is my mother's ring, my father's ring, and all the jewelry you see everywhere, but I've never seen a clump of gold, whereas you can find in China, the kids go on trips to go see how gold is mined. They get an opportunity to see how AI is used, whereas this is the first day I saw an AI video. So I'm asking, how can you give an African child the opportunity when the resources are being misused and you're gonna tell me we have the money? Yes, Africa has so much money, I can feel it, I can see it, I know we do, but we don't experience it. Thank you.
It's on, okay. Hi. Okay. How can we get the opportunities? And here's the thing. With my business experience, no one is going to give you the opportunity. You take it. You claim it, you take up the space, you enter and you claim by fire, by force. And when you get given the opportunity to get, you know the thing, that's why I built my NPO, because sometimes you are going to get the opportunity to enter by a little bit of your toe inside the door. When you get inside the door, you deliver. You deliver like you've got no plan B, you've got no plan C. You know, sometimes I always say, because I'm an orphan, and I always say, in as much as that was a disjustice to me growing up, but it also showed me that I've got nothing, I've got no one. Which is why when I enter every space, I make sure that I deliver over and above. Even the people who are racist, they must say, I hate black people. But you see that one, her work, her ethics, her job, that one, she can come. I hate black people, but that one can come back. And we need to enter into spaces like that. Because if we're saying we are waiting for this gold, guys, our parents don't have minds. We're coming from a generation where our parents, our grandmothers, the people who grew us up, were domestic workers, they were gardeners. Until we go and enter that mind and we take it and we put ourselves into that space, so that in whatever you are studying for, I always say that in whatever you do, be it in your business, be it in your career, if you're in IT, make sure that you are the best IT professional out there. Continuous learning, continuous development. Nowadays, guys, we have access to the internet. So whilst you are doing your studies, you are in your first year, you're doing your studies, I always say that the one thing that we don't learn as black people is the soft skills. It's also the short courses. You see the short courses from these free websites, Coursera, those things will give you an advantage over and above someone who just has a degree. Even me now, when I hire people, I don't just look at a degree. What else have you been doing over and above that degree? Did you get a degree and just chill at home? You're not working for 2 years sharp, but in that 2 years, what were you doing? Let's get those courses. Let us make sure that when we enter into a space, we deliver, we are professional, we are on time. Let us not take opportunities like we are supposed to be here. We were never meant to be here. As black people, we're not grown for this. We have put ourselves here. So let us make sure that when we sit at that table, we have fought for it. We deserve to be on that table. We have brought wood to build that table so that it can never get taken away from us. And no one can ever come back and say, you got this because you are young. You got this because of a policy. You got this because you are black. You got it because you are good and you deserve to be there.
We have a lot more questions.
There's one this side.
On that side? Okay.
Thank you. My name is Sandra Clark. And I would like to say to the panel and all those who are present today who can make a difference. We have our youth who have doctorates, who have PhDs. We have our youth in Africa Rise Youth Indaba who have PhDs. We have in another organization, Art Vision Academy, youth who have PhDs, youth who have doctorates. But because there are no opportunities, they find themselves in challenging situations. So going forward, I would like to pose to those in higher power that in your next discussions, strategize on a way forward how we can cap either the age or the number of years service within a certain department or your role in government or higher organizations, whereby we can encourage upward mobility. By upward mobility, and we are able to encourage those who are old, those who have passed a certain number of years within a position, make it 10 years, they would have already served their purpose in that role, and allow our youth to come into power, into leadership roles, into entrepreneurship roles, whereby they will encourage other youth to come into those roles. Because believe me, it's the youth who will encourage and uplift other youth, because they have been there and they have done that. Thank you so much.
I think while we're also pondering and waiting for opportunities to be created, we also need to dig deep within ourselves as young people. You know, I always tell people that at some point we are reaching a point where we are not only capacitated to be invited to tables, but we are capacitated to be able to co-create tables. I'll speak about the tourism industry. I am actually a tourism business advisor. I'm not working. I've been trading as an independent business advisor. And navigating this space as a young person demanded more from me and demanded more from the education that I received. You'd find that a lot of people build guest houses, to make an example, from a patient perspective. And most of them, they don't even have the privilege to have a certificate like yourself. They never studied business studies. They never studied tourism to understand the sector better. And that creates a massive opportunity also for young people to tap into such spaces, tap within themselves to see what are some of the things that we can do as young people to just push this bedlock of high unemployment in the country. And with such, you find a lot of guest house owners that are looking for people to come and help them manage their businesses. A lot of SMME businesses not growing and not scaling up because of simple things like a business with 15 years of experience doesn't even have a business a business plan, a business of 15 years of experience, they can't get funding. But those access to funding also relates back to lack of information. They don't know how to set about compliance in their businesses. And these are the same things that we as young people are studying. And these are the same things that we young people, I believe we are equipped enough from our education to can transform to create these skills. Yes, there are different people in every community, and I believe there are two different people. There are those who believe that the society inspires individuals to change. And there are those who believe that it is individuals who inspires the society to change. So I think a platform like this should be critical for us to navigate our own strengths. Those who are able to start programs that can be able to change the course of youth, and those are able to sort of like give in the aid to help those programs to be implemented. I think this is a space where we start taking the chance to create our own table as young people as well.
Thank you for that. We have another question here.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Homoto. To the gentleman that has actually just spoken, I like that because you touched on a lot of nuances that we take for granted. And for me, perhaps I want to emphasize the power of education, and that's my question directed to you, because there is a sense of postponement when it comes to exposure to the kind of financial education that we need to have. I think there's a certain kind of rhetoric that has positioned entrepreneurs to almost be like it's the alternative when education fails you. I think it's quite convenient that we are here at a youth summit with a lot of what is going to be our youth graduates. And subtly, what the world has taught us is that we need to go out there and start being educated first and then go look for a job. However, if we want to ever compete in a global context, the skill cannot be a default. It is one that needs to be cultivated at a young age. So my question is then to you, or rather it's a plea, also controversial in the sense that we cannot have an education basis that says a pass mark is 30% and yet we expect our youth to be competing on a global level. And that speaks to, and I'm about to be controversial, but also it speaks to the silos mentality of our policymakers, that when they sit in rooms, are they quite aware of the impact their policies tend to have on each other? We cannot have tourism or education or businesses expecting people or our graduates to be of quality, yet we are saying that they only need to know 30% of the curriculum. But also in that curriculum, let's not make it a tick box exercise, because then we need to look at the quality of education that we are imparting on our kids. Because if we are looking at competing at a global level, especially for Africa, where we are a woke generation that speaks about going and empowering ourselves and becoming sovereign continents that's not dependent on Western powers, how will we do that if the necessary skills keeps being postponed? I mean, if you look at a child in China right now, he's able to build an iPhone. He's been trained to build that. Yet in Africa, the idea of an iPhone is a luxury, is that what we are trained at a young level is to become consumers and not to be change makers or people that are imparting business ideas. And I think here, as a closing remark, is to say, as youth that is in the room, what kind of leaders do we want to be? We need to become what we are terming as futurist leaders, leaders that identify the situation and are able to respond to it. But that also means that you can't look at whatever's happening in a linear context. You need to understand what else is happening in the continent, what else is happening at in the world. And I think if anyone follows the news, yesterday highlighted the dangers of what we continue to just operate from I'm a not sovereign, I'm not a superpower, I don't have a seat at the table. And when you get to the seat at the table, what is it that you're teaching the world to go and teach you to behave when you are at the table? So I think for youth out here, let's not use this woke term, flawlessly. Let's understand what it means. But also to the policymakers in the room, the silos behavior is one thing that we need to break down as a country. Let's not do tick box exercises, but let's actually go and look at what is the mandate that we are trying to deliver on as a country? Where do we want to position our country the next 20 years, 50 years from now? Let's not look at what Cyril's term is going to deliver on, but what is the legacy that he's going to pass on to his successor? Because ultimately we need to bring each other closer to what our mandate is. But the question is, as Africa as a whole and not just South Africa, do we even understand what the mandate is?
Thank you so much for sharing. And just to add on to that, actually, and to restructure the next question I'd like to ask, I'd like your opinions because, you know, you seem to be in the in-between. You're policy makers, at the seat of policy makers, but also still youth, and also still needing that sort of policy to have a strength to it. So with your sort of ability to see on both sides, you can also probably relate to the struggle of sort of letting the policy sort of assume that you're incapable of getting something done before you've even been given a chance to try, where you're expected to get a 30% pass mark and say, oh, good job, because that's the best you could have done, when no one was actually pushing and encouraging you to hold you to a certain standard. So what are your perspectives on the standard we hold our youth accountable to in regards to the standard we expect of our society moving forward? Especially Mr. Chris, we haven't heard your voice in a while, so what would you like to say?
Thank you so much. I think the first point of entrance is that a lot of the house here believes in the power that we have as young people. And often at times we need to do check and balances and be intentional. I'll share about a lot of movement that has impacted change. We know the Not Too Young to Run movement in Nigeria, where they advocated to get certain age into parliament and certain age into presidency. And you know also of the Arab Spring and what they did. So what I'm saying is that us in our numbers, sometimes we can come together. We know the Fee Must Fall movement that started on social media. So in our collective coming together, we hold power. But also we know on the contrary that we are also our own betrayers. Some of us, when given power, we abuse it to the core. And that also strips away the belief that elders want to give us. I'll just give an example. In Botswana, because I served in the National Youth Council, it was formed in 1974. Last year we celebrated 50 years of the National Youth Council. But in 2014, it was abolished because of mismanagement. The board was chowing the money, a lot of corruption. Now it's a department under the ministry. Just not going far. Maybe somebody may ask, where is the Y20 for South Africa? We saw conflicting, messages in social media because young people at the core cannot agree. So we also need to be intentional about that. But also just to pose a challenge to say, everybody here is fortunate. Think about the young boy, the young girl that you left. It could be within your family that you live every day without sanitary pads, without something to bath. They resort to drugs. But what do we do in our little corners? What do you do to empower and share the knowledge that comes from here? And it starts little by you organizing from your ward, your community, your village to say, I was empowered enough, I saw this and that I can bring online. So we are also our greatest asset in making sure that we share a lot of information in doing that. But also, again, I want to say, at a higher level, we've got politicians and people in high areas who are afraid of taking decisions. They lack being intentional about to say, we want to pass this, and this is what we stand for. And again, we read every day when we wake up that 150 million is missing from this particular account that was intended for this youth program. So these are some of the set realities that we face ourselves with that impede us to see the greatest youth development in the space. And we are not far apart. Look at from the continental level. We all know of the African Union, the African Union Commission. How many of us know about the Charter, the legal instrument that's supposed to say it should be doing check and balances of countries? 40 ratified. But since now we are moving into the 30 years of the Charter, what have we achieved and what have we improved? Not going far. in the region, SADC, it's headquartered in Gaborone. No youth desk for SADC alone. And how we supposed to operate as young people in the continent or in the region to see the legal instruments. But yet, year in, year out, our governments, our ministers subscribe a lot of money to say, these are some of the things that we can come. Look at our counterparts, your European Union, your OECD. They've got, you know, those lucrative youth structures and programs that we sometimes even fly, leaving our continent to go participate in. So I also believe that just to challenge our leaders in the room also to say, let's look, and as the previous speaker said, when we get into agreeing on these treaties and to say we adopt, how intentional and how truthful are we in terms of getting the aspirations of the young people that we lead into account? Thank you.
Thank you. I think we have time for one more really, really burning, impactful question before we begin to close. But there will be plenty more plenaries to ask more burning questions to different, very illustrious speakers. So don't get too nervous and feel like it's over for you. But yeah, we'd love one more to close this session.
Hi everyone, my name is Lebo Machika. I'm currently doing my postgraduate studies in international relations at WITS. My question to the minister would be, what does it mean to design a youth policy that doesn't just generically target the youth, but centers those who are structurally excluded, specifically your young women in rural areas, LGBTQ, and youth with disabilities and those displaced by conflict or climate change? My question stems from the fact that the reason why we fail to create effective policy and implement is that we try to find a one-size-fits-all solution which doesn't acknowledge the real disparities in access and opportunities for the youth. And my second question would be, with the opportunities that come to revive the African economies through the African Continental Free Trade Area, how can we ensure that youth-led enterprises and informal markets are not sidelined by formalization processes that often privilege elite or well-resourced actors?
Thank you for your question.
Yeah, I think I can also add to what she was talking about. There are certain systematic or bureaucratic red tapes that we face, particularly as young people. In the tourism industry, Minister, there are market access platforms that enable different businesses within the tourism industry to collaborate and invite the world to come. So it's easy to really go and scale a business from that point. But when you look at the access to those applications, it's the same as, the requirements are the same as businesses that have been living for far too long. The requirement is you have to have 3 years of your business running, and you have to have a certain fund that is in your bank account. Some of these things are quite unfair for us as youth, particularly because we do have our own youth market, but we can't now access these opportunities because we have to be sort of in line with people who unfairly, in terms of competition, are going to obviously qualify more than our businesses. So I think there's more that needs to be done in terms of creating different groupings among youth in different industries. Remember, in as much as we are youth, we all serve different industries and we go in line with different industries. And by so doing, it makes it easier for us to collect the database of all these challenges and pass them over to our minister to go have a conversation with maybe the tourism minister to say, can't we make the environment more lenient for young people to be able to thrive? Because in as much as we try and as much as we have markets and all these things, it's painful to see an easy project that I can be a part of and I can actually make use of my innovative business to grow through these platforms. So it is also a thing, and there are certain systematic or bureaucratic red tapes that needs to be lessened just to allow youth to have ease of entry.
And also, I just want to add that we need funding. Sicela imali, Minister. Sicela imali. You know, I think, you know, once our businesses are operational and you can see that we have employed 10 people, 5 people, and now we have to scale. Please, meet us somewhere, give us something. you know? And also, when it comes to the funding thing, there is so much red tape. Like, yo, guys, you apply for 5 years. I don't think, I have never gotten funding, hey? And I've been applying. I don't know, you don't even get a response that maybe you are not compliant. Because at least if you tell us you do not comply to 1, 2, and 3, then you know next time I need to have 1, 2, and 3. And also when it comes to the funding situation, I think education, resources, equipping us, it goes back to that. And also getting that education in our languages. Because there is Kensani in Guyana right now, who is running a business, formal or informal, but she only speaks Tsonga. She does not know how to scale in English. She does not understand the meaning of BE, but she is running a Chisanyama there. It doesn't have a certificate of acceptability, but it's there. And she's selling food. And she has 4 employees. And she does not know how to comply because she does not have information in her language. We've got $1 million industry in Joburg. It's called Kwamaimai. Tax excluded because they don't pay tax. And some of them are not even compliant when it comes to Department of Health and stuff. We've got Labo Mama Kwamaimai. They don't have information in their language. Right now, if minister you can go Kwamaimai, ufike uti, what is their document? Unabantu bakashile, do they have UIF? They don't understand what is UIF. They do not understand the COIDA. They do not understand anything. They do not understand SARS. Because first of all, kwa SARS, you literally have to give up your day to make money. You must go there and sit the whole day. Even when they say you have an appointment, that never really works out. So can we have also mobile public servants who go to such places, who go to Wamaimai, who go to Etembisa, Erenken where they sell food, who go to Alex, Estretla, to those people who say food and say, okay, let's get you compliant. This is how you register on the CIPC. This is how you get your BE certificate. This is how you get SARS compliant. Because ngolunye usuku uzothola ukuthi lo mama ukaMaimai, she wants to now start serving food at funerals. She wants to go into catering. But because she's not compliant, she does not know that when you cater, you have to feed people that food within 4 hours. It shouldn't stay in chefing dishes for more than 4 hours. Lo mama uzothatha amapoto wakhe ayopheka. People get running stomachs because she did not understand how to store food, how to keep food, because she does not have access to that information. So can we ask that we can have these stakeholders and these departments going and giving the information to the people who need it in their languages? Thank you.
Thank you very much. And final closing remarks, just something briefly, so we hear your voice one more time.
Oh,
sir.
thank you so much. In my closing remarks is that, colleagues, there's a power in collaboration. We don't need to be seen as competing. Just by a raise of hands, how many of us are graduates in the room? By show of hands. How many of us are unemployed? How many of us are students? Oh, wow, nice. So I always believe that with the high rate of unemployment, there's always a power in collaboration. A graduate in IT, one in marketing, one in accounting, we can always come together and do innovative ideas. And then we go look for funding, or we start an organization. We collaborated amongst ourselves. I also want to say some of us are caged in underemployment or in our homes or in areas because of the fear of unknown. Take that leap of faith and move forward. I quitted my job in 2018. I was working in a university. They made me do what I was doing at my NGO, responsible for assisting students to go for attachment, assess them, do tracer study, and match them with employers. In 2018, I quit. Now I've created over 30,000 employment in Botswana, managing a grant of over 2 million rand with 3 sponsors and donors, and also having a lot of programs and hiring over 24 young people. So this can also be a testament that you also can start from somewhere and grow it with the time. I also want to say that let's effectively utilize our social media. It has now become a global village. Let's not be there just to, insult and become keyboard warriors. Let's make sure that you connect with other young people. I was fortunate enough to be a delegate for Pan-African Youth Union for the Y20 in India and head of delegation for the Y20 in Brazil for African Union when it became a member. Colleagues, when you get into the room, negotiations, you're Saudi Arabia, you're American, there are 10 times like you don't know what they've eaten. They understand the issues, they're afraid, you get into compromise. But we ask ourselves, where are we faulting? So make sure that you acclimatize yourself, make friends abroad and afar and integrate. If I tell you that I've been to more than 58 countries that I've never even paid a single ticket because somebody saw me in LinkedIn, you know what I'm going to do from here? I'm going to create a post to say I addressed over 500 young people in South Africa from 28 nationalities in front of the Minister of Youth and the Minister from DRC. You tell your story, right? Not just to say selfie at this time, but turn it because, like I said, if they said if it's not in social media, it did not happen. But be innovative. And that's where you'll see people. Be passionate about what you want. To say, I'm very passionate about this, and I met this person there. I'm willing, can somebody help me find a scholarship and a sponsorship? And lastly, let's develop a teachable mind. Every day, everyone, everything around you, it's a learning curve. And if you open and develop a teachable mind, we can all spark that ignite and assist and have more of the powerhouses that we have here. And the replication effort, we are the one we've been waiting for. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was so inspiring. Before we close, we'd actually like to ask if some of our heavy-hitting heavyweights in the room have anything to say in regards to the first plenary.
Thank you. Let me start off by applauding the organizers for bringing together this large audience of young people into the room in order to debate about issues that are of common interest. My name is Bernice Hlahala. I'm the Chief Director responsible for youth development in the Department of Women, Youth and Persons with Disabilities. I'm here today supporting my minister, and I was actually very comfortable and reassured when you mentioned that you don't mean that our minister should actually go, because you have noticed and you have seen that she is youth compliant. There are a few issues which have been raised with regard to policy making. And fortunately or unfortunately, I happen to be in the center of policy making of government, particularly when it comes to young people. Our department, one of its mandate is to develop the national youth policy. Unlike in Botswana, where they are currently sitting with the 2010 policy, I'm actually proud to say that in South Africa, we have been reviewing policies on time. We've got the National Youth Policy, which starts from 2019 to 2014, and then after 2014, we've got the policy from 2015 to 2020, and then currently we've got the National Youth Policy starting from 2020 to 2010. And I would like to even emphasize that as I'm speaking, because we are halfway implementing the policy, we have already started with with the process of reviewing the policy. At present, we are conducting midterm review of our national youth policy. And that in itself presents an opportunity for young people to come to the table and make input into the issues that you have noticed that they require adjustment prior to the policy lapsing in 2030. So we are actually inviting you to come on board. The other issue is that our government believes in the issue of young people as co-creators in youth development. And to that effect, when we compile our policy, we consult with young people in their diversities. However, I just want to acknowledge that we know that young people form a larger segment of the population. The challenge that we have in South Africa, you've heard my colleague from PYU, he keeps referring to the National Youth Council. In South Africa, we do have the National Youth Council, in case you are not aware. However, our National Youth Council is not as functional as it is supposed to be, because a National Youth Council in other neighboring countries serve as a voice for young people. So it is supposed to be the umbrella organization for young people, so that your voice can actually become represented and consolidated, and we ensure that when we develop policies, there is actually youth perspective. In order to close that gap, just this morning, our department was presenting to cluster in preparation for cabinet. We have advocated for a legislation where we are saying that we need to have a functional National Youth Council, which is going to serve as a collective voice for young people in South Africa. That is intended to actually close that gap, to ensure that if we don't reach young people, we are assisted by structures of National Youth Councils to reach young people even in deep rural areas. The other issue which was raised was the issue of silo approach, working in silos, and fragmentation of services. And we want to acknowledge as government that that is a very serious challenge that we need to actually close, because you find that the right hand doesn't actually know what the left hand is actually doing. But you will find that various government departments, they are actually doing much when it comes to youth development. But then the challenge is to ensure coordination. Even within the very same legislation that we are talking about, we have provided for structures at national, provincial, as well as local levels, to ensure that we have a coordinated approach to youth development, so that young people can actually receive a coordinated package of services from us as service providers, because if we don't coordinate, it becomes actually a challenge. The other issue is the issue of policy not addressing youth issues. I've already alluded to the fact that we are currently conducting the midterm review, because we understand that the issues of young people keep changing. So in order to ensure that we address even the emerging issues that are currently affecting young people, this will be an opportunity for you as young people to come and make input into the policy, so that going forward we can ensure that those issues are actually addressed. And then there was the issue of a 26-year-old minister also being mentioned. Within the very same legislation, one issue that we are saying is we are requesting that we have actually provided for is the issue of representation of young people within the structures. So in the legislation, we are saying that we must have a quota for young people to be represented in decision-making structures, including even in board structure. For an example, now we've got young people in the National Youth Development Agency, but then in other board structures, you find that the representation of young people is actually far less. The other issue is also including appointment of young people, even in senior positions. If you look at the issue of succession currently, it is actually a gap, because you find that public service, for an example, is graying, and then we don't actually have young people even in senior positions. So that is actually going to be advocating for representation of young people, even in senior positions. And then the issue of quality education is also raised. I think someone gave an example of China. That is also, a sore point. That is why, as one of the pillars of the National Youth Policy, we also have quality education and training as one of the policies. So we need to come up with solutions by young people into what are the things that we actually need to see change in our policy. And then finally, is the issue of inclusion. I think the issue of inclusion, someone mentioned that the policy needs to make sure that it targets young people, including LGBTQI+. Our current policy targets young people in their diversity, because we recognize that young people are not a homogeneous group. So it means that everyone, including young people, young women, youth with disabilities, LGBTQI+, they are catered for. What we are actually falling short of is to ensure that we intensify programs that actually respond to the needs of young people. To a minimal extent, we do have programs, but then I want to say that there is a need for us to actually scale those programs going forward. I thank you.
No, thank you very much, Program Director. I think she has said it all. But I just want to say this. We are approaching June month in South Africa. And come June 16, we'll celebrate that important Youth Day. We want to change our approach. Instead of going to a stadium and have the president addressing us, we'd want to take the president to a forum such as this one. But with the young people who are not going to ask the president questions, but young people are going to say, President, this is what we want. So it must come from young people to the president. And the president must then commit that I've heard you. You are saying we have young people. I think somebody was talking about young people who have PhDs. We have young people who are sitting at home, they have law degrees. Somebody saying, President, those young people can actually go and start their small law firms tomorrow if they are assisted. There are so many, they need something like this. We want them to be given money. That's what we'll be expecting. Then question, because when you ask us questions, then we're going to answer you our own way. We want you to tell us. We want you to tell government. We want you to tell the president what you want government to do. You are talking about SARS and everything. Surely there are challenges that you meet, which I have no experience of. Tell us that if you go to SARS, this is what you experience, and in order for you to make it easy for us, because we are young, we have no experience, we propose that you do 1, 2, 3. So that we can take it forward and see whether that can actually be done. So I am begging you, when we bring the president, we will not want to bring the president so that he listens to questions. Because we know your questions. We know the problem. Young people are sitting at home unemployed. Young people do not have funds. They don't have market. They don't. So we know that. But what then should be done? And we expect young people to advise and to say, this is what we want you to do. If possible, you can even prepare your concept documents to say, President, this is what we are saying to you, but this is even the concept document we are giving to you so that you can go back and implement it. That is what we think we want to do this time around, come June 16. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you so much. We unfortunately have to close this session off at the moment. Am I breaking? Okay. But we just want to... Okay. That's lovely. Yeah, just want to say thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, for engaging with us. Thank you so much for the comprehensive summary. We really feel like you heard the concerns that we had put forth. And really, I think the conclusion, the moral of the story is to the youth, we just need to have the audacity, sibete, as they call it in my language, to stand up and demand what we know needs to be done, because we do come up with solutions and we are ready to put in that work and that energy and make the changes we want to see in 30 years when it's our children who are the youth. So thank you so much for your time as well. Thank you, Minister, for your time. And now our MC is going to take back over again.
Thank you so much. That was an intense conversation. Young people, thank you so much to the minister. The ball is in your court, young people. No more blaming, no more questions. They're throwing the solutions back into your hands. Let's see if you deliver. So it's that time of the day that we love. It's lunchtime. However, there are terms and conditions. So I am going to ask our Honorable Minister and Dr. Posa and our honorable delegation from Congo to actually stand up and go towards I think it's my left and your right, so they can have their lunch. And we remain seated as I give you further details on how we are going to have our lunch done. Our lunch will be 40 minutes long. We'll be back here by, let me check. Lunch is 30 minutes. We'll be back here by exactly 10 past 2. We are here to work, guys. Eat, come back. So, so 10 past 2, we should be back. Sorry, can we have one meeting? Can we have one meeting? So we'll be back here at 2:15, where we are going to have Dr. Posa open up the second session of the day. So you don't want to miss that, and we don't want to keep him waiting. Meanwhile, did we enjoy the first part of the day? What do we say to Africa Arise Youth Indaba 2025? Halala. No, not now. We can't.
Okay, you let me know.
We are under pressure with the kitchen. Yeah. Yeah. We are under pressure. Okay. We are under pressure with lunch. Yeah. Thank you so much. So as our VIP go for lunch, can